Ride 4. For years, lovers of motorbikes have come to this game to live out their fantasies and enjoy taking the beautiful machines that's on offer around the track, being possibly one of the most realistic racing games that is on offer today. One of the hardest things to do in this game is to post a fast lap time in time trials. It requires precision, control, balance, being smooth on the throttle, but ultimately, it requires you to do all of them at the same time to post a good lap time. This is my story of how I went from being an absolute noob in Ride 4 to doing some top 10 lap times in the world in just 2 weeks. I will share with you my journey, how I did it, why I started doing it, and what made me so obsessed with it, and all the little tricks I learned to accomplish it. I will show you how I persevered and accomplished something that even I thought was impossible. So strap on your helmet and enjoy the ride. When I was a kid, my dad bought me one of those plastic motorbikes. I absolutely loved it and I couldn't even speak yet. Since then I've had a mad love for motorbikes and cars. I used to run to a local video store and rented a PlayStation 1 and played Gran Turismo. Back then this game absolutely rocked the world. It had the best graphics, a huge selection of cars and very good physics for its day. I eventually played Gran Turismo 2, 3, 4, Forza Motorsport 3 and Forza Motorsport 4. I obviously played a vast variety of other racing games too, but they never really sparked my competitive nature like these games did. I loved hot lapping in these games. I'm sure you can relate to me when I say that once you finish the career mode in a racing game, it gets boring very quickly. Most of the time you end up putting the game down and never playing it again. Some of you might try and jump online and enjoy all of this. Ultimately, I have always loved doing time attack, and this is the only reason for me to come back to these games over the years. I love going round and round the track and improving my time and becoming faster and faster and faster, and eventually getting to a point where you know, this is my limit, and I am happy with it. Just like everyone else that first played Ride 4, I jumped into the campaign to unlock the new bikes, get familiar with the tracks and practice becoming better on these coffins on wheels. I eventually became decent at the game and I was able to beat the AI on easy mode.
I am a driving god!
My next bike in real life is going to be a Suzuki Hayabusa, and I bought one in the game too. I then jumped in an online lobby to race the bike. In the lobby was a guy that was already level 500 and he was an absolute rocket around the track. However, he was using a little bike, so my Busa stood no chance. We then raced on Canadian tire, and at the start one of the other players crashed into him and I was in first. I thought, yes, there's no way you're gonna catch me now. He did, and he still won. My fastest lap was a 1:18.3 and his was a 1:13.0. He was 5.3 seconds faster than me per lap. That was a massive eye-opener for me that I was just not good at this game. Time to start practicing the game and becoming really good. I was not happy with just being average and beating the AI on easy mode. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to learn all the little secrets and tricks to becoming real fast. My goal was simple. I wanted to post a top 100 time in the world. Just pure skill. No cheating like Riolo did from Trackmania. To do this, I needed to do 3 things. Firstly, choose the category I'm going to race in. Secondly, choose the tracks that I'm going to practice on. And thirdly, learn all the tips and tricks that I can do from the professionals in order to become really fast. I chose Tsukuba Raceway as I've already spent thousands and thousands of hours on Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport practicing on this track. It's a great little track and it's also the home for World Time Attack. Just like any form of motorsport, it is best to start at the bottom and learn and practice the basics first and then move on to the faster cars or bikes. The same way as a Formula 1 driver starts their career in go-karts and then slowly move up in the world. So I started practicing in the lowest class in Ride 4, which is the 249 PP class. The leaderboard bike for this class was the KTM 390. Leaderboard cars was a term I learned in the Forza community as it describes the car that are able to do top 100 times in the world. However, there is a real love-hate relationships around them. You have to use them in order to post really fast times, but people despise it if you use them in online races as you are cheating by using the fastest one in their category. Obviously, if you want to be fast, you need to be using a leaderboard bike, otherwise you don't stand a chance of truly seeing where you fit on the leaderboard. I still was not fast enough, and after watching a tutorial of a UK guy, he said in order to become fast with these bikes you need to roll the analog stick and not flick it like in car games. So I started practicing that, and eventually I managed to post this time. In order to race these bikes very fast around the track, you need to learn a few things first, namely your braking point, secondly your turning point, and lastly when to get back on the throttle. The last one is arguably the most important because most people get the braking point and the turning point right, but most people get back on the throttle way too late. You see, racing a bike is nothing like racing a car. When you turn right in a car, the car turns right. When you turn left in a car, the car turns left. But with a bike, when you turn right, it has to lean first before it can start turning right. And then if you want to turn left, it has to shift the weight from the right side all the way to the left side before it can start turning left. Another huge difference between bikes and cars is bikes are extremely fast in a straight line. And that's what you want to use to your full advantage with racing this game. You want to get on the throttle as quickly as possible so you can get out of a corner as fast as possible and use that massive straight line acceleration that bikes have. So for instance, on the first corner of Tsukuba, you want to start braking and then turning into the corner. You want to only let go of the braking right as you hit the apex and then immediately get back on the throttle. You want to minimize that braking and acceleration time as small as possible, just like Formula 1 drivers do. You want to get back on that throttle almost immediately. I didn't like the 249 PP class because there was only one good bike that could post fast times, and it's the same with the 399 PP class. Everybody races their Harley 750, but the 599 PP class was different. You see, in this class, there's such a big variety of bikes that can post a really fast lap time. You can do it in a cruiser, a sport bike, a naked bike, and even an electric bike. The problem with these games is sometimes they are too unbalanced, and the lower and the higher classes is dominated by one bike or car, and there's absolutely no other car that can post a fast lap time except for that single one. But the 599 PP class is pretty balanced, and there's a lot of bikes that you can post really good times on. So I went back to Canadian Tire since I started becoming used to the game, how the bikes handles and then behave, and how you should approach the track for each bike. I decided to learn Canadian Tire on the electric bike, since the electric bike doesn't have much top speed, but it's got excellent acceleration out of the corner and it's got decent handling. For this reason, you have to focus more on the handling than anything else, and I posted a 127.884. I then switched over to the Husqvarna dirt bike. Since this bike has a lot more top speed than the electric bike, I thought it would be a great choice. I then posted a time of 123.857. This was 4 seconds faster than the electric bike. The thing about the dirt bikes though is they have excellent power to weight ratio, since dirt bikes weigh almost nothing, but they are all limited to a single cylinder engine. This means they have great torque, but they have no top end. So I started looking for another bike. I specifically wanted a 4-cylinder bike with a big engine, and I found this, a Yamaha XJR 1300. I mean, just look at this thing. Its engine is bigger than my first car's engine. So I bought it, I built it up, and I started hot lapping. And eventually, after a good time of practicing, I was able to post a time of 122.201. I was not expecting this. You see, up until this point, I only wanted to post top 100 times, but now I was sitting in position number 23 in the world with a bike that only one other person has used to post a top 100 time, and he was in position 85 at a time of 125.599. This was the tipping point. This was the big moment that made me realize that maybe I can go a lot faster, and if I really put the effort and time into it, what will the limit be and what will my time be? I wanted more as I knew the bikes I was using was lacking in some areas. I knew I had to use one of the top 4s that constantly popped up in the leaderboard. The Ducati 916, the Yamaha RD500, the Ducati Monster 696, or the Harley Davidson 1200. So I bought myself a 696 and an RD500. I knew deep down that the RD500 was going to be a beast. It is a V4 2-stroke 500cc sport bike that you can put racing slicks on. So I got to practice and I posted this time. .579, 0.7 seconds faster than the 1300. But I still wasn't satisfied. I was willing to pull the trigger and buy the bike pack to get the 916. You see, when I was a kid, one of my friend's mom had a Ducati 916. Back then this was the latest Ducati and I thought it looked so good. I decided to buy the bike pack and try this bike on the leaderboards to see if it was any good. Straight away there was one big problem. You can't put any racing slicks on it because then it goes into the next category. All you can do is brakes and lighter rims and then you're at the PP limit already. So I started hot lapping and I noticed that it lacks a bit in the corners due to the tires, but it had great top speed. So I started practicing and I ran lap after lap after lap until I posted an incredible 120.729. This put me in the top 10 in the world at position number 7. I was ecstatic. Holy crap, man. I posted a top 10 time in the world. I then continued running it over and over and over again until I posted a 120.707, just 6,000ths of a second slower than the number 6 spot. But I noticed something odd. The number 6 Ghost was absolutely destroying me with corner exit acceleration. Look at this and see the amazing corner exit speed that he has. I just couldn't understand this. How was this possible? How is his bike so much faster than mine on the corner exit acceleration? I was convinced that either it was his tires or everybody in the top 6 was hacking. I decided since the 916 had such incredible top speed, I would go on to Daytona and use my smooth analog skills to post a really fast time. I immediately started racing the number 1 Ghost, and once again, this guy had so much more corner speed than I did. I was so confused. Why do they have so much more corner speed and corner exit acceleration than I did? Is there really that many cheaters in the game? I was wrong though. You see, they were not cheating at all. They just used a different button than I've been using the whole game. You see, my settings were set on automatic tuck-in, meaning at a certain point in the game, around about 100 miles per hour, the rider will tuck in. Before that speed, they don't do it. And even though it looks like they are, the game does not recognize that they are. This makes you so much slower on the straights. But the real reason why I was losing so much speed was because on automatic tuck-in, the rider automatically set upright in the corners. So you basically go into the corners with a parachute open. So I turned the setting off, figured out which button my tuck-in button was, and attempted it again. Straight away I was able to keep up with this guy, and I posted a lap time on Daytona that placed me in the top 10 of the world. Now I knew why that guy on Canadian Tire had so much more corner exit speed than I had. He was using the manual tucking button going into and exiting corners. With my newfound knowledge, I went back in, and within a few laps I beat his time. Using the tucking button while going into a corner gives you way too much understeer, and you simply go into the corner too fast. I then had to learn when I could use it and when I couldn't. Think of it as a way to reduce your speed, just enough to make the apex, but then have that valuable corner exit speed as you're going out of a corner. After around another 17 laps and messing around with the suspension, I was able to do this. 120.207. I was now sitting in position 6 in the world, and I was right on the heels of position 5. Up to this point, my strategy was to challenge the ghost that was a position ahead of me, meaning I should only get marginally faster to improve. However, this time I decided I am going to challenge the fastest guy on the leaderboard, the French man named Matos 67. I knew if I could chase his ghost I would get a lot faster. A few days later and a lot more practice, I finally ran this lap. .465, 1.3 seconds faster than my original fastest lap with the 916, and now I was officially in the second place in the world. However, this is not the end of my story. You see, when I started getting obsessed, I wanted to post the fastest lap time. I eventually wanted to be number 1, but posting it on this track will take a lot more practice. I needed to find a track that doesn't require so much practice at all. So I went back to Daytona and looked on the leaderboards to find my rival Matos 67 again, and there he was. In class 699 PP, he was in number 1 position again. He used a Triumph Daytona this time. Fitting name actually. I ran the same bike as him and I just couldn't get his time. I figured out the secret to running a fast lap time on Daytona in this class. Once again, it was the tuck-in button. You see, the way you should approach this corner is hold your throttle fully in while you're holding your tuck-in button as well. When you start feeling that the bike starts understeering and going to the top of the track, you let go of the tuck-in button just enough to reduce your speed, just enough to stay at the bottom, and then hit your tuck-in button as early as possible so you can get massive speed out of the corner. There was one bike though that caught my eye on the leaderboard. It was a V4 Honda. You see, my first ever superbike was a Honda CBR 1000 RR, and I fell deep in love with Honda bikes after then. I then bought this bike and started practicing. Eventually, after an hour, I posted this lap time. 52.910, beating Margaret 67's time of 52.980 by just 0.66 of a second. I did it. I finally managed to crack it and master this game and post some incredible lap times. It was not easy and I had to learn so much about this game and the little tricks to make your bike go faster. I get it. I was in your shoes in the beginning too. This game can be very frustrating and getting fast in this game can be so annoying and infuriating. So this is why I wanted to make this video and share with you what I learned and how you can practice, and with determination you can become really fast too. I would love to hear your story and how you managed to post really fast times in this game or any other racing game by practicing techniques and learning from the best. I hope you enjoyed this video and liked my journey. My goal was simple. I just wanted to be able to play this game comfortably and be quick at the same time. I was happy with posting top 100 times, but it just became an obsession after a while and I just wanted to share with you what I learned. I am not a driving god like Richard Hammond. I make a lot of mistakes and sometimes it takes 50 laps just to post one good lap time. I'm just a regular person like you that just enjoy hard lapping and love the idea of improving myself. I hope this helps you and motivates you to give you the game one more go and really try your best at posting a really fast lap time in whichever track you choose and whatever class you choose to do it. I'm not going to be like any other YouTuber that constantly asks you to subscribe and like and share my video, as you can do whatever you want and I value your opinion. Have fun, people of the palace, and I will see how this goes. I might make another video on Ride 5 and show you guys some tips and tricks of that game once I get it.